Joining me this morning are Don Evans, the depot's emergency manager, and Tad Carter, a supervisor from the Directorate of Emergency Services. Good morning.
Good morning.
September is National Preparedness Month. What are the primary emergencies, Don, that Anniston Army Depot could potentially face, and how do we prepare for those emergencies?
Yes. September is National Preparedness Month, and a little bit about that. That is the Army's campaign, Ready Army campaign, and they promote that campaign every month in September. And they want to remind our citizens about resilience, and then to stay focused on raising awareness as far as all hazards and the natural disaster and the type of hazards that we face in the United States. So how can we prepare for some of these hazards here at Anniston Army Depot? The big three hazards at the depot. We have some mass casualties threat that's out there, insider and outsider threats. We have, of course, the weather threat as far as tornadoes and snow and ice storms and things of that nature. And then there are, back to the insider threats as well, things that could happen internally in our facilities, whether it's the east or the west area. So we need to prepare for those kind of things. Another thing that I'd like to talk about is that for this awareness month is to focus on financial preparedness. A lot of people do not. They put their kits together. There are summer kits and there are winter kits, but one of the things that can destroy a family after you've saved a life is financial preparedness, financial readiness. A study was taken, 50% of the Americans only have $400 in their emergency kits. Well, 1 inch of flood water can cost about $25,000 worth of damage. That's according to the National Weather Service. So financial preparedness plays a big role. So that's one of the ways we can prepare ourselves for the future. Life-saving skills, and then planning and talking with your family about being prepared. Don't just discuss it with the adults. Keep the family involved, the children, so everyone is prepared and knows what to do in those emergency cases.
Okay, Tad, let's talk about what we do here on Depot in terms of our emergency personnel. We know that the Directorate of Emergency Services have a lot of personnel to include our firefighters, our paramedics, and security or police officers. Talk to us about the types of training that they take each year.
Yes, our firefighters not only prepare and train to fight fires, but additionally to respond to and clean up hazmat situations. They also work on confined space rescue, rappel rescue from multiple story buildings, vehicle extraction for trap motors inside vehicles. Our paramedics also fall in line with the same training as the firefighters, but also work critical casualty care. Our security personnel are required an additional 210 hours of law enforcement training throughout the year, which includes 4 quarterly training exercises of active shooter response, as well as 2 times a year they qualify and train with weapons. Our SRT personnel have an additional 16 hours a month of training that includes high-risk situations and advanced weapons tactics training.
Lots of training going on throughout the year. Don, we talked earlier about emergency kits. Talk to us more about what should we have, and tell us about the amount we should have for each person.
Okay, emergency kits are very important. The standard thing to remember is keep a basic kit. A basic kit includes your flashlight, your batteries, extra batteries and things like that, your medical supplies, any kind of funds you may have, a credit card or some money on hand to put a part of that kit. That's your basic that you want to keep year round. It doesn't matter whether it's a winter that's happening or in the summer events. Now, seasonal, you also want to add to that kit and build on that kit. In the wintertime, you want to have some extra clothing maybe. You want to have some extra blankets or quilts in your car. So if you run into an emergency or you get to a place where you can't drive, you can stay warm until someone comes to rescue you. And also try to have a cell phone. Every person just today should have a cell phone. Get some extra batteries for your cell phone and things of that nature. But start out with your basics, your batteries, your funds for emergencies, some extra clothing and things of that nature, flashlight, and then your medicines. So build that basic kit and kind of keep it handy at all times, year round.
Okay, and it sounds like since it's seasonal, we should check it periodically to ensure we've got things, should an emergency occur in the summer, the winter.
Yes, absolutely. Based on that particular season, you want to dress your kit up for whatever you're facing, whether it's the heat or whether it's the winter weather. So, big part of that, one of the things I left off is water, year round. Keep some water with you.
Okay, don't put it on the shelf, but we do need to check in periodically to ensure that we've got all the emergency essentials.
Yes.
Okay, Don, community resources, what's available out there? How can they help us stay informed in the event of an emergency?
Well, once we leave the depot, we become a part of the community. And so we take our warnings, our information from the Calhoun County Emergency Management Agency. If there's a tornado to speak of, then we hear the off-post sirens that are sounding to warn us about those off-post sirens. Social media, local media, television stations, radios, weather radios, those are some of the resources that every household needs to you need to have in your household. You need to be aware of where to listen to that information, listening to the news and the weather stations like that. Also, one of the big things now since Jacksonville, and even before the Jacksonville tornadoes, understand where your tornado shelters are in your community. Since the Jacksonville tornado, you see tornado shelters popping up throughout the county, whether it's Etowah, Calhoun, or some of the other surrounding counties. So find out where those shelters are. If you don't feel safe in your home, seek one of those shelters.
Okay, and Don, we've had a call from one of our viewers, and that is, will we have a tornado exercise or drill here on the depot?
Yes, we will be exercising our tornado drills here in the future. And the thing about that, there's one coming up in the future. I won't say exactly when it's going to be because we don't want the ready, stand in the gate approach. But we will have it very soon. The command is very strong about people being prepared here on the installation for tornadoes. So we don't necessarily have what we call FEMA designated shelters here, but we have what we call refuge areas. And a refuge area is a location in your facility or near your work facility that's safer than the actual place that you're working. So a message to managers and supervisors, new employees are coming on board all the time. Ensure you tell your employees where your safe areas are in your facilities. And then not only that, but practice it and rehearse it. Our contractors, our tenants, and our directors have been doing a wonderful job up to this point creating emergency action plans. Let's practice and rehearse them to make sure they work in case we need them.
Okay, and often you will run a message and tracks to remind people where those areas are located.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's on the land at all times, and we put it in tracks as well.
Okay, well, Tad, if an emergency occurs while we are away from home, any tips on how to be prepared?
The best tip I can give you is to be prepared prior to the emergency. All emergencies are different, and they will be treated different, and you'll respond differently. How you can prepare is when you go to the store, anything out of your norm, is locate all the exits. That way, if any type of situation arises, whether it's active shooter or fire, you know where your route is, your best route to get out. Locate interior hard rooms, i.e. for tornadoes. You know that there's not going to be any glass breakage to cut you. Hopefully that hard room's going to prevent anything, material falling on top of you, being trampled by other people. Create a plan because you don't want the emergency to be the time that you create the plan. When you're exiting a store, locate your keys. Some women have deep purses. They drop their keys in there and lose them. Locate your keys prior to walking out so you already have them in your hand so you can unlock your vehicle. Notice your surroundings, be aware of them. If it looks out of place, it most likely is. And we're in the day and the age where people are targeted. And if you are aware of your surroundings and not have your head in your phone, as we talked about earlier and driving, you should be able to locate these things that are out of the norm.
You know, Tad, while some of that sound a little comical, such as women having their keys ready when you leave whatever area you are in, that sounds a little funny, but it is very important. And such as being on our cell phones, we're walking, we should be vigilant at all times. So some excellent tips. And you know, sometimes we talk about things we think, oh, we've heard that before and over, but it is worth sharing again. Let's talk about Labor Day. It's coming up, and that's one of those last minute trips that we take for the summer. So talk to us about resources that we should use in planning for such vacations.
Thanks to the internet, we're connected to technology. Just with a few clicks of the button, you can find out everything you need to know. You can map out your route that you're going to drive, which is a great tool. You can map out stop locations if you're going through a long drive, rest areas. Personally, I like to pack snacks and water in case the vehicle breaks down prior to, but also do a vehicle inspection prior to your travel. Check your tires, your fluid levels, your lamps, your lights, your headlights, all that. Know where you're going, have your hotel planned, know the address of the hotel. Once you get to the hotel, once again, locate all the exits. If in case there's a fire, you need to know where the stairwells are. Also, you can just a simple little Google search, find local hospitals next to your hotel, and you can also get the local number to the police department.
Okay. Don, if there's an emergency here on the depot, how will employees be informed?
We have several means of informing our employees on the depot. The basic means and the most important means is via ad hoc. That is when our employees, our Emergency Operations Center will send a message out via your computer, your laptop, over your cell phone, your work phone, things of that nature. But the key point here is to get a message on your cell phone, you actually have to go into the system and put your cell phone personal information into that system. If you're at home and you want to receive emergency information about the depot or whatever, if your information is not in the system, you will not receive that message. And another means of receiving information and warnings on the depot is Giant Voice. Giant Voice is the way of when you can actually hear what's going on for a particular emergency. Giant Voice is important to not only sound a siren, but you can listen to understand exactly what is happening, whether it's a insider threat type of situation or it's an actual tornado warning and where these things may be hitting. What's happened in the past, my previous exercise, people go to their safe areas, for example, a tornado shelter, and they cannot hear the message that's coming out. So here's some things we want the leadership to take on their own to kind of help that situation. Take your cell phones into your shelter area with you. That way you're going to receive information as far as that incident is concerned. That way you'll receive information when the all clear is given. And not only your cell phones, check with the radio shop and the Director of Information Management. Take one of your basic radios into the shelter with you. And then the Emergency Operations Center will make announcements over that basic radio as well. So there are a couple of things you can do to improve your situation. Just lean forward in the saddle, as we say a little bit. Look at your emergency action plans, and then find out how you can improve by conducting drills and exercises.
Well, Don, Tad, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Lots of great information has been shared. Emergencies happen when we least expect them, so preparation is key. Again, thank you.
Thank you.